Good evening and welcome to the Chrissy B Show, and tonight we'll be talking about unlocking your child's potential. Now, we've covered a few parenting subjects on the show because I think parents have such a hard job, and if there's any advice we can get from professionals to make your job that much easier, we'll do it here on the Chrissy B Show. So today we'll be looking at how to unlock your child's potential. My guests tonight are Chris Matson, education specialist and consultant, as well as Mike Davies, who's a teacher and author. And later on, we're also going to be having our resident fashionista, Lisa Marie, who'll be giving us some pointers how to dress up with a heritage look. And also we're going to have our makeup tip with Flavia Lau. Now, if you need advice on how to help your children, you can email chris@chrissybshow.tv, because Audrey will be here to receive your emails as well. And if you want to Facebook as well, you can visit the Chrissy B Show and put your comments there. If you want to call as well, 020-7686-6300. So let's introduce our first guest, education specialist Chris Matson. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Chrissy.
So we've got two Chris's on the sofa today.
Absolutely.
So how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. So tell us about what you do.
Okay, well, I'm a specialist in education and also consult in education. What that means is that I go into various schools, I train the teachers, I also work with the children, I also teach the children accelerated methods of learning, and I run workshops. Accelerated, basically, I'm also a trainer of neuro-linguistic programming, so I use some of that, which is about how we learn, how our brain works, and I actually employ that to actually accelerate the learning. Easy way to give you an idea of what that is about. If you think of a happy memory, just notice, you've seen a picture in your head? Is it a colour picture or black and white?
Colour.
Is it a movie or a still picture?
Movie.
Is it bright colour, natural colour?
Bright.
It's bright, okay. Brighten it even more, does that make it better?
Yes.
Bring it closer to you? Does that make it better? Keep that then. Is there sound in this movie?
Yes.
Is it natural sound?
Yes.
Turn it up just a smidgen. Does that make it better?
Yes.
You didn't know that's how you coded memories.
Ooh.
But it makes it better.
Yeah,
so if
okay.
you don't like a subject, if a child
Yeah.
dislikes a subject, I'll find out how they code it and I'll change the coding so they like the subject. Or at least prefer it.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, it's about brain function and how to learn.
Okay then. So you were telling me something really fascinating before in the green room about that you shouldn't really allow children to watch TV up until age of 2 years old.
2, yes.
Now, most parents that are having a very stressful day, or a mum at home, maybe looking after the child, or even fathers, when the child cries, when they're like all over the place, screaming their heads off, the first thing they want to do is stick this child in front of a TV.
Yeah.
So how?
Well, the research shows that up to the age of 2, because your child's brain is developing, literally from 3 weeks old, it's starting to create something in the region of 8,000 neurons, brain cells, and that's a second. So we're looking at over 500,000 a minute. Now it goes on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. When the child is born, and that development is still carrying on, they just suck in all the information through the senses, you know, taste, smell, everything. And if you then put them in front of the television, the trouble is with the research is that quite often the children knock the electrodes off. They can't keep. You can track the brain pattern, but it seems to actually scramble the processing within the brain. That's what the research says. So the advice from paediatricians and from neuroscience and from psychologists is that for the first 2 years, certainly, perhaps no television at all.
Wow. But what, even if it's educational programs?
Doesn't matter what
like
it is. It's something to do with the fact that their brains haven't fully developed anyway. I mean, a female brain carries on developing until its early 20s. It never finishes until its early 20s. Male may take a bit longer. So that's what the research shows. So yes, a child, the early child, the first 2 years, it's creating, it's learning, it's exploring in all of its senses. And at about the age of 2, you often get what's called the terrible twos.
Yeah.
Now, quite often youngsters, it varies from child to child, but they can be really temperamental, tantrums, very grumpy. I'm sure a lot of that is probably frustration, but what's actually happened, they've sucked in all the information from, you know, first day on the planet. And what seems to be, according to neuroscience, is a rationalisation of those experiences. So they're saying that experience fits with this experience, and it's like electrical storm in the brain.
So they can't take it. So
they can't take it. So they get very grumpy, very frustrated. And instead of snapping at the child, which is, as you say, the tired parent, you know, when you've brought home this beautiful, wonderful, terrifying creature, you know, and it's yours, you do what you can, as everybody does. You're the adult in the room, yeah? You're the adult in the room. So you've got to control your feelings. Now, just as I showed you how to control, and did you feel better changing the picture, making it brighter and so on, so you can change your own emotions. That's one of the things I do with parenting workshops and things, is you're in control. You may not feel it at times, but you're the adult in the room. So this little scrap is utterly reliant on you, and you've got to take control of yourself. It's tiring, it's frustrating, it's all of those things. But if you want your child to develop its potential, you need to be nurturing, you need to be caring. You know, losing your temper and shouting, be quiet, isn't going to do a damn thing except terrify and stress it out.
How would you control then, like if you are at home, like your baby's crying or needs some kind of stimulation, you haven't got that much time, what should you do? How can you stimulate a child and help them?
You say time. The biggest two things really, it's time and talk. Let's explode a couple of myths. Playing Mozart to the baby in the womb isn't going to do anything, except if you play Mozart when it's born, it'll recognise it. That's all it does. There's a lovely story. He's a conductor of, I think it's Canadian orchestra, and he was rehearsing some new music, never played before, or he'd never heard of it. And suddenly the cellist started playing, and he was away with the fairies. He lost his place in the music, but he knew the music. He just went with it, conducted perfectly well, came to himself, panicked, apparently ran to the phone, rang his mother and said, I know this music, I know every phrase, I know what comes next, what's going on? And his mum used to be a professional cellist.
Oh, right,
and
so
she said, what's the music? He told her, and she said, look, from 5 to 8 months, that's one of the pieces we were rehearsing. So the cello was on her bump, he was inside, and that's years later, as a quite a famous conductor, I understand, Boris Brott, he recognises the music. So that's all that playing Mozart would do, or any music will do. Something that is very stimulating because it's very soothing. If you talk to the baby, this is the mother, because it's slightly muffled, but they will hear it. And if you were to record some nursery rhymes or short stories, you can actually, if you record those, when the child, as you say, gets disgruntled, crying, distressed, if you play those, what some research has done, who has done that, is that it calms the baby down. Right. What's also bizarre is that they used, it was in America, so it's Dr. Seuss, the Cat in the Hat. When they played the recordings, they noticed that the suckle rate actually matches the beat of the words and calms them down. It calms them down.
So now I know you were saying as well that it's never too early to start to teach children, so you can actually teach babies things as well.
You can teach babies things from the moment they're born. As I said, all the products on the that are available, despite their wild suggestions that your baby can be made a genius in the womb, it can't. When it's born, it's all about stimulation. If you want a healthy child, if you want a child to grow to its potential, it's about stimulation. It's never too early to talk to it, and you must be within the child's...
What about all that baby language? Is that not
baby
good?
language,
Is that all right?
wonderful, yes.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what language you're in. Across the world, every parent almost naturally does the, oh, baby, beautiful little bubby, bubby, bubby. That's fine. Go high, which everybody does. They go high, which attracts the baby's hearing. They like that. Long vowel sounds. Who's a beautiful little baby, wavy, wavy. Yeah, the long vowel sounds and the short, almost staccato consonant sounds. That's natural. Doesn't matter what the language is. All humans seem to do that across the world. But it's actually really good because it attracts their attention. And what you're teaching unconsciously to the child, they only learn language by seeing the interplay of the lips, the tongue, and the teeth. Okay. You have to face your baby when you're talking to it. So, if people at home, if you've got a buggy that's facing you, that's much better, you know, rather than facing away from you. Yes, they see the world and they get lots of stimulation as they're being pushed down the high street. However, if you're going to learn language, they need to see your mouth. They recognise faces very early on. They have a preference for human faces over animal faces. That seems to be inbuilt in our psyche. They recognise language. And it doesn't matter what country you're from, the pattern of language you learn is the same. You start with the labels, you know, doggy, mummy, daddy. You'll then go to, you know, 2 words, the name, the noun, and the verb, which is doggy run. And then eventually it'll be doggy run home. And even at that stage, it's okay to very gently correct, not that's wrong. You know, I like doggy. You like John's dog, do you? That's lovely. Okay. Do you know what kind? And expand. You know, what kind of dog is it? It's called a Labrador. So you know, there's you've got some pictures, I understand.
Yeah. Let's take a look at some pictures here.
Okay, now this is one of my daughters, and she's only 4 months old there. And the book I'm reading to her, she has got a children's book to one side, but I can remember this. I'm talking about photographs of seabirds on there. And it was a gannet. And I'm talking, not in baby talk, I'm actually talking normal, quite complex language. Look at how they fold their wings back so they can dive in the sea.
She seems interested enough.
She seems interested enough. And I can remember that she was wiggling around and excited because our sight, our vision, is the strongest of our senses. It overrides everything else. If you're going to learn something, if I just gave you the verbal instruction, you know, a few minutes later you wouldn't remember it. 3 days later you'll only have 10% of it. If I show you a picture with it or a small film, it sticks. Okay. But at this stage it's very much about, you know, just stimulation. Talking baby talk, because that helps them. It helps them develop the sound, how to make the vowel sounds and so on. But talking complex language at the same time and introducing them as I did there with advanced books, not just kiddie books.
Okay, let's take a look at another photo.
Sure. Now this is the same daughter, and she's 11 months old. And the only thing to notice really is one, okay, she's sitting up, but she has the book the right way around. Does that mean that she will always do that? No. Sometimes you have to turn it round. But it's the pictures, and when we were reading, yes, you read the story, but you also talk about the picture and expand upon it. You know, which bear's got the biggest ears, which one's got the smallest. And it's the same when the youngster comes home. You know, even at nursery, parents will come in, let alone primary school, and it's like a cross-examination. You know, what did you do at school today? What else did you do? What else? And, you know, stop badgering them. You know, they will tell you what they've been doing when they're ready. But it's a bit like when you leave work, that walk home, if you walk home, or that drive home, that's your processing time where you wind down. And youngsters need that as well. You know, as soon as they've been picked up, you start cross-examining them. You're actually creating stress in them, and a stressed brain doesn't work very well.
Because we don't want to talk when we get home, we just want to relax a bit, don't we?
You want time out.
Leave me alone, me time.
Me time.
So kids need me time too.
They do.
Wow, okay, very interesting. Okay, do we have another picture?
Yes.
We've got one more, haven't we?
We have one more, I believe.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, now this is, she's 2 months old here. So, as I said, it's never too early to talk, tell stories. But even if you're telling nursery rhymes, you could then ask, you know, Humpty Dumpty, for example, why do you think the egg fell? They're not going to answer you. She's 2 months old. However, you're teaching them language. They're seeing the mouth. They're hearing more words. So that's really important. It's time and talk, and the sort of the literacy skills of speaking and later reading are key if you're going to be developing a child's potential, because they need the language, which is our primary means of explanation and understanding. It's how we code inside.
Chris, this has all been fascinating.
Thank you.
Really, really fascinating. Thank you so much. I'm sure you've helped loads of parents out there. So, especially the thing about the TV, no TV up until 2 years old. That's
what
really
they say.
important. Great. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so after the break, we're also going to be joined by another guest who will be sharing his wisdom with us. So join us after this. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. Well, joining us now is teacher and author Mike Davies, who's also going to be telling us some very interesting information as well. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Chrissy.
Thanks for joining us as well.
Oh, you're welcome.
So tell us about, I was reading about you earlier. You have a degree in psychology.
Yes.
You've worked in retail, media evaluation,
yes.
and recruitment advertising.
Yeah.
Before training to be a primary school teacher. So that's such a big
Been around
turnaround,
the
a
houses.
big change.
Yes.
Yeah, how come? Why did you settle with primary school teaching?
Well, if we skip the first two jobs and I go on to the advertising, I answered an advert for writers, and I fancied myself as a writer, so I had to go, and I got on, and was accepted and spent pretty enjoyable time writing recruitment adverts and brochures and all sorts of things like that. But after a while, I started to think perhaps there's something a bit more worthwhile I could do. I don't know whether I was what was going through my head, but I felt that I needed to do something a bit more worthwhile.
Would help people.
Yes, I think so, yes. I mean, it's all very well writing persuasive things for clients, but after a bit you start thinking there is perhaps something better I could do with my time. But I still wanted to be creative, and I had this eureka moment cycling down to the train station to do the long trek into London, and I thought, I know, primary school teacher, I can be creative and still do something, hopefully, that will make an impact on people, make a difference to them.
Okay then. So, as a teacher, why do you think some children underperform?
There are so many possible reasons. There could be problems at home, there could be problems at schools of how they're getting on with others, how stressful their life is. I mean, the basic things you need to be even able to start learning are a sense of security and safety and feel loved or appreciated. So that's a sense of security must come first, and stability in the home. So that's very, very important. After that, well, it could be any number of reasons, and I think you've just got to take it case by case. Okay
then. So now, as a child, I really did love children's stories. I think my favourite author was Enid Blyton.
Really?
Yeah, she was my favourite author, and I remember always reading the stories, even up till late at night. I used to be reading her stories. So is that a great way to help children and
I think reading is so important, and as Chris was saying, you can't start too early, and just keep on reading to them, and eventually you can phase it out, and they'll hopefully start enjoying reading themselves. But it always amazed me, even when the children were, I suppose, relatively old in year 6, how when I said that I was going to read a book, I could get them really...
How old is year 6? Sorry, because
That's
wasn't like
10,
that
11.
in my time. All right, okay.
Yeah.
I always get confused about the years.
So they're just beginning to think that they're getting a bit grown up.
Oh, right, okay. And you read to them?
Read to them. They loved it.
Really?
Absolutely loved it. They would be absolutely quiet. You know, they could relax. I wouldn't mind if they had their heads on the tables or whatever. Just reading to them, it was wonderful, and they seemed to get so much out of it. And then they would start hunting around the library to get more books out.
Now, I know you've released the book, so we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But let's take a couple of emails from some parents first of all.
Yes, Chris. We've got an email from a mom. She's saying, my 6-year-old son is very smart and he's getting very bored with school. His doctor told me that he will develop quicker than kids his age. When he first started year 1, he was doing great and his progress was above average. But lately, he's lost interest in his schoolwork because he says it's too easy for him. He's tired of doing it. How I can motivate my son to be more interested in his schoolwork and to challenge him to his fullest potential.
Oh, wow.
Interesting one. Not necessarily an easy one, but I think there is a good place to start, and it's got to be with the teacher.
Right.
Go and see the teacher, first of all, and discuss your concerns, and see what him or her can do to perhaps give more work, stretch the work a bit more. They should know what to do. They would have experience in making it that much more challenging. And I would like to come back to talking to the teacher, but if you're not happy with that, see the head teacher. and they should be able to advise you that way. But that's the first thing. There are books and other resources around you can look around for to help stimulate your child further, but I would seriously recommend going to the teacher first. Right. And what I wanted to say about that is that it's so important to start forming a good relationship with your teacher. I have known parents come ranting and raving, sometimes at me, not always, but I've seen it with so many colleagues. The parents start on quite an aggressive...
Yeah, it's terrible. It never used to be like that.
Well, possibly. I don't know, but... I mean,
I don't remember, at my school, I don't remember, like parents ever storming down, they were, to the school and like fighting with the teachers like you see nowadays. I think it's really bad. I think people are so disrespectful nowadays. I think
it is a problem, but the main thing is it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I've got no idea how to do your job. But if I started ranting and raving at you about how you go about interviewing people, you're not going to say, "Oh, Mike, you've got a really good point there, haven't you?" You're going to think...
Try yourself.
Yeah,
see what it's like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And think how it would be if someone, whatever your job is, if you're a parent, how it would be if someone had a go at you over what you're doing. You're not likely to be open to be positive and help. Much better to try and form a good working relationship, collaborative working relationship with the teacher. Because it's quite possible that there are things that you need to discuss. There are issues. There's nothing wrong with it, But if you work together, you're much more likely to get a better outcome.
Yeah. I mean, my parents, especially my dad, he always had a good relationship with my teachers.
Yes.
And like they used to stay, like some of them used to stay after school and actually do extra lessons for me and like a few other students. And I thought they weren't getting paid for it or anything, but they just out of the kindness of their heart. Well, my dad did repay them with bottles of wine at Christmas. We used to take them.
Yes,
but it wasn't that anyway. But they were just really kind and like helpful because of that. There was a good relationship there.
But it's a very odd job to go into if you're not kind and helpful, isn't it? Being a teacher, I mean, you're just signing up for hell, really, aren't you? So basically, your teachers will be kind and helpful. They will probably be very overworked as well because of all the jobs I've done. Teaching is the hardest,
but the most rewarding?
It is very rewarding, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think back, I started sort of seeing members of the classes that I've taught, and wonderful, wonderful children, and fantastic to see when they suddenly get something. Quite frustrating when it takes a bit more time to get into their heads what you're trying to put, especially when they forget it, or they seem to forget it, or even swear that you've never taught it to them, and then you go back to it, and after a bit, "Oh yeah, Mr. Davis, I know how to do this," and off they go again. So
is that the reason why you wrote your book? One of the reasons?
It was really, I started with, how
so it's called Lousy Thinking. That's an interesting title. Tell us about that.
Lousy Thinking. Well, it's because it's based around a head louse. Which is great because obviously if you're writing a children's book, it's got to have something yuck in it. And obviously I can imagine lots of people already starting to scratch. But yeah, head louse are a problem. And it's just one of those things. But before I started writing it, I thought, if writing a book, I want to think how I can get inside a child's head. Having watched the children and thinking, how on earth is their mind working? What is going on here? So I thought, right, how am I going to get inside a child's head? So obviously the first thing you do is you think of a head louse which bites into a particular piece in the head, and it makes a link with the brain, and they start sharing thoughts, and suddenly the schoolboy who gets bitten.
The head louse has a name as well, doesn't
it?
Brad.
Yeah, okay. Brad's the head louse. The schoolboy doesn't actually call him that. As the author, I gave him the name Brad. So he starts sharing his thoughts. And it's like having an imaginary friend who's helping him think. And the head louse, first of all, thinks, wow, this brain is amazing. And I really wanted to put that over to children. Your brain has got so much capacity. You could do so much with it if you perhaps put a bit more effort into a bit of training it or what have you. But you've got a fantastic brain.
That's really important for children to know, isn't it? Because sometimes they might think, I'm a bit dumb or I don't really know that much.
You hear that so often.
But people, even parents say that sometimes, which is awful.
Well, they sort of say, children say, I'm really stupid. Okay. Yeah. Well, no, you're not. Give it a go. Just keep persisting with it. Parents will say, it goes in one ear, out the other. No, it will stay there. It's just trying to get your way to getting it out again, especially if it's been repeated, as Chris was saying. If the information's been repeated, it will stay there. So let's see if we can find a way of getting out. So that's what Brad, the head mouse, does for Jake. But they form a great little friendship, and there's a few things they have to cope with, like the knit comb. And
I remember that.
Yes.
School,
not nice, is it? No.
Brown paper bag with all the medicine in it.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. But so there's lots of challenges, and they form a great friendship. And one of my friends who's read it said, well, basically it says a boy and his dog story, but it's a head louse instead of a dog. And it's that friendship that comes over.
What age group is it actually for the book?
8 to 11-year-olds, although I've known some 7-year-olds who've liked it, reacted to it very well. It's fun. It's not all about just putting over a positive message about how great your brain is, and children, you must learn hard and push yourself that little bit further. It's a book to be fun for, and it's all about the dramas of school, because there's so much that happens at school every day. Little dramas which to us we might think, yeah, I've been there,
Silly,
I know that, yeah.
Yes, nothing.
But to children, each little drama, a lost pencil case, a bit of a sort of losing it, playing it in the playground, whatever it is, it's all a big drama to them. And it's just looking at it through fresh eyes. So, if you had something else in your brain, watching what you're doing, how you're dealing with each situation, how would they think about it, and how could they help you? So it's a laugh, really.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to read this. I'm looking forward to reading this.
Well, good. Yeah. But as I say, it's Lousy Thinking has gone down well with people who've read it so far. So it comes out in October, late October, and there's another one on the way as well. So
oh, really?
Yes.
What's that one going to be about?
Another head louse.
Okay.
Same boy. And this time he's going to be solving a crime and taking part in the school show. Right. So a bit of a slight departure there, but kept it going. And my next door neighbour, bless her, who's read it, she was saying, when's the next one out?
Oh, she couldn't wait.
Yeah, no. So it's on its way. Yeah.
Okay. So what about going back to you being a teacher? How do you deal with children, say, for example, that maybe aren't performing as well as some of the other kids, and they feel a bit down about that? Because do you think kids can actually all get sort of grade A's if they really push themselves, or is that a bit unrealistic?
I think it is a bit unrealistic, and I think that there is a tendency to think sometimes that everyone's got the same basic brain and everyone can achieve top marks. No, we've all got different brains, got different strengths. You may be very good academically, very good at your schoolwork. You may be less good, but you might be very good at something else. And unlocking your child's potential, I think, is not just about thinking in terms of school. There are so many other areas where you could have great potential, and you need to find that and you need to work with it. And I think as a parent, that's going to mean a lot of listening to your child, watching what they're good at, what they actually enjoy, supporting them. Yes, you do need to have some qualifications in life. It's the way our system's set up. But don't expect too much of them if they haven't got it. Just encourage them to do their very best. Encourage them, reassure them, support them, listen to them. Give them some time, some of your time, if you can. I know we're all busy, we're all rushed off our feet, but just make that little bit of time to make them feel better. Because I say, when you feel better, you start being more receptive to learning. So that's one way you can go about it. But please remember, we're not all going to be.
If your kid's not getting A's, don't give them a hard time. They're trying their best.
I mean, if there's good reason to think that they could be performing better at any particular subject.
Not because the sister did or the brother did, because it's two different people, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can't compare, because that's a lot of pressure sometimes.
Yes, I was one of 5 brothers, so and it's one of those things which I suppose it's only human. You immediately start being compared with your brothers or your sisters, what have you. But no, everyone's different, and you need to listen and look for what their particular potential is and work to that level.
All right, let's just take one more email before we go to a break as well.
Well, this question is quite relevant. You've partially answered it. This mother is asking, she has a daughter that started taking piano lessons, and she did that when she turned 4, and she's extremely talented in it, and she's practicing for her grade 8 exam now at just 9 years old. I've been encouraged by her piano teacher and many others to send her to a specialized music school to develop her talent further into a career. She loves piano, but as a mom, I'm not too sure whether her future will be secured if I were to send her to a music school. So she's just asking if she's being too selfish or too safe.
That's a very tricky one. I think once again it's listening to the child and first of all, wow, what a fantastic pianist. Yeah. But beyond that, I mean, you can investigate the schools, see what they say, take their advice, but also keep listening to the child, because it may be that after a while they themselves wonder whether they want to make a career out of it or whether they just want to enjoy music.
But they still study other subjects as well, don't they? Even if they go to a specialist school, they still do the normal.
Yes,
right,
they would. But it's all. I suppose it's once again about listening to the child, finding out about it, and just thinking: is it for the child or is it for you that you're trying to push them or otherwise into school? And it's quite acceptable to be a great pianist without having a career of it or going around the world performing. Yeah. So there's more to life than that.
Okay, Mike, we have to leave it there, I'm afraid. It's time for a break, but thank you so much as well for your participation today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and after the break, we'll be having our makeup tips with Flavia Leal and also our weekly fashion tip with Lisa Marie. And we'll also be featuring a good cause, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. Now, before we go to Lisa Marie with her fashion tips and also Flavia Leal with her makeup tips, let's go to a good cause that we visited in Brighton. Today we're actually in Brighton visiting a very lovely charity called Dolphin House, and I'm here with one of the founders, Rosie Barnard, who's going to be telling us why the charity was set up in the first place. Hi Rosie, how are you?
Good to be here.
So tell us about the charity. Why did it start and what was the thinking behind it?
Dolphin House started in the early 80s. The thinking behind it was that children, who are poorly would get better a lot quicker. Julian Scott, who started the charity, he treated me for asthma, and when I first started going to him, I was really, really chronically ill and at death's door. And after a couple of treatments, I could, for the first time, be able to hold a conversation. I was so breathless before. He said, because he got me well, I said, if there's anything I can do in return. And he came back and he said, will you help me start the children's clinic?
He held you to that word, didn't he?
And, obviously I'm happy to help because it was so amazing to be well. And so when we started this children's clinic, it was a real, gamble. We just thought, is it going to work or not? So we scrounged some premises, and we had one afternoon a week in a premise in Hove, and it just absolutely took off. Everyone was so keen to come that we had to find bigger premises and longer hours, and people were phoning me all over England, from Scotland, even people from Canada came. What we wanted to do was not discriminate against anyone and charge lots of money, so we set it up as a charity. And then after that, we said to people, we did the payment on a sliding scale, and even if people didn't have any money, they could still come and have treatment. It's dolphin-house.org.uk if anyone wants to have a look.
I'm here with Alison Lucas, who's one of the trustees of this charity, and she's going to be telling us how the charity has developed over the years. Hi, Alison.
Hi.
So tell us how things have moved on, because lots has been happening since the first beginning.
Well, since Rosie told you the story about how the charity started, and then about 20 years ago we moved to these premises here in New Road, and we've developed the number of treatments that we do now. So we still do acupuncture for children. We also now do osteopathy and homeopathy and creative arts therapy. And then we also, as I mentioned, we sell the supplements, so we have a whole range of different supplements. And a couple of times a week we actually have a fully trained nutritionist working in the shop, so they're able to advise. All the people that work in the shop are very knowledgeable about therapies and are able to advise people on what they're buying.
Okay. And I see some makeup there as well.
And natural makeup, yes. I believe we're one of the very few, if not the only, shop in Brighton that actually sells natural makeup. Oh. And so we have a couple of different ranges, and it's very popular, and nice that people are making their faces look beautiful but naturally.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So actually one of the things I did notice as soon as we walked in was the hospitality, how friendly everyone was. So it is really a nice family environment. So if you do want to come down yourself and use the services, come to the shop, or if you'd like to support the charity, please do visit the website on the bottom of the screen. Lovely, lovely people there. So now let's go to our makeup tip with Flavia Leal.
Hi and welcome back to my fashion blog. Today's tip will be on airbrush makeup. Airbrush makeup is a makeup sprayed into the skin using an airbrush instead of sponges, brushes, fingers and other tools. It's very popular in film, theater and sunless tanning, but not a lot of people buy this equipment for their personal use. Airbrush is better than traditional makeup for HD cameras because traditional powder or liquid-based makeup can settle and make the pores and wrinkles, especially around the eyes, more visible on HD film. Airbrush makeup also wears longer than traditional powder or liquid foundation and can be used to cover dark circles and other discolorations of the skin. I have here a few of my traditional makeup and the equivalent in the airbrush, and instead of applying primer, concealer, foundation and powder and use a few of my brushes and a sponge, I can just spray a few drops of this makeup into my skin and I'll be done within 30 seconds, and that's all I have to do to wear makeup that will last from 12 to 24 hours. Well, I hope I have helped you, and I see you next week. Bye-bye.
I love our Flavia, don't you? Okay, so let's go now to Lisa Marie, who's just come back from St Lucia, but I'm not jealous because I went to Brighton twice while she was away.
Brighton beaches, St Lucian beaches.
I had a really good time actually, thank you very much, madam.
No, yeah, I'm getting really bad withdrawal symptoms now.
Oh, how was it?
Absolutely amazing, like over 30 every single day, and then I came back and it was like highs of 17 and I was like, crashed back down to earth. But I'm back with some more tips for this week. So one of the looks, another look that will be big for autumn winter is the kind of heritage trend, and that is kind of like based on like the whole country type wear, so like riding boots and like the barber jackets. Like sometimes you see the Queen wearing like the wax jackets and things like that. Tweeds. It's based around that kind of look. I know, it's how we can actually take it back from, say, like the grandma, and we can make it so good and so fashionable. So I've taken that kind of influence and shown how we can put together some outfits, because the weather as well is turned a little bit, so we need to start dressing up a little bit more. Not full on winter, but we've got some tips here today. Okay, so if we go to the first look, and that in the middle there, it's a mix between a cardigan and a coat, so it's called a coatigan. This one is £65 from Dorothy Perkins, and it is so much. It's the thing that's going to help you cross that autumn kind of like, oh, what do I wear? Is it too cold? Is it not? Because it's great for layering up. So I've got the brown belt underneath that, so you can make it a little bit different. Tie it with a belt. That's how you can take it to another level. So
make it a younger look as well, I think.
Yeah, but also because all the layers that we're going to put on autumn winter, you can make you kind of bulk up and lose the kind of shape. So if you've got a belt there, at least you're showing that you still have a waist. So we've got a shirt that I've just laid it up there. That's from H&M and it's $19.99. This fab bag, mock croc kind of Dr. Frame style, and that's $24.99 from New Look. It looks a lot more expensive than it is. We've got a nice straight leg indigo jean there from Dorothy Perkins, and that is £28. And then the thing as well that helps bring us up together is the riding boot, and it's £45, and that's on very.co.uk. Nice. You can get some from absolutely everywhere. They're going to be massive. Even Primark do a version, and it's only £20, and they featured that on Lorraine, I think it was this week. So they're going to be absolutely everywhere, so just get one that suits you. Yeah. And obviously, as it's a trend, you don't know necessarily if it's coming back or not. If you're getting something like Primark, then you're not that bothered about spending so much money. So our next look, and like I said about taking the tweed back.
Love that jacket.
So that tailored jacket is $32.99 from New Look, that tweed jacket there. And it's got like the pockets there. It's got like the PU, so like the fake leather type thing to kind of bring that as well up to date. That t-shirt, you can't see the detail properly, but it's actually got chiffon and cotton as well together. So it looks so much nicer. It comes in like a few different colours, and that's from Mango, $22.99. So you can dress that up as well as dressing that down.
Are lovely as well, aren't
they are fab, and they're from Forever 21. And they're only $29.75. So really, really good. And that's still, because I know it gets a little bit colder, you can still look fab, and you can also wear those with a nice dress as well. So it's about mixing up those looks together, so you're investing in things to make new outfits.
Lisa, I love your shoes. Sorry, you just distracted me.
I was dying.
Sorry,
I'll have to show them later.
All right.
That bag is $14.99 from H&M. I love tan. I think it goes with mostly everything. So again, it's one that you can invest in and wear with loads of different things. And at $14.99, you're not really going to miss that. And red jeans there, £28 from Dorothy Perkins. So again, some people are scared about wearing coloured skinnies and stuff like that, but they come in so many different colours. And if you're wearing it like that, they're not so standoutish if you're wearing like yellow or bright pink, things like that. It's an easy way to inject some colour into there. So fab look there.
Those are really skinny, aren't they?
Well, you know that when they put it, they usually put it at like the smallest size that's there. But I'm a great fan of skinny jeans.
Get my arm in that maybe.
Now this, the final look, it's a tweed dress, and this is £59 from Next, and berry is going to be another fab colour for the autumn winter season. So if you're getting this dress, you're going to be bang on trend anyway with the colour. And if you're again worried about, say, having a bit of a tummy, the detailing, the ruching on the side of it is going to draw your eye more to the waist rather than those problem areas.
Very clever.
Yeah. And then this jacket is kind of a take on like the Barber jacket. So normally they're a little bit longer to the waist, but this one's a cropped version, and that's from Miss Selfridge at £40. The bag is also from Miss Selfridge, $39.99. The slim backs are £50 from Next.
They've got a hidden platform in there, haven't they?
Yep, as well. Oh, we always have a hidden platform. The higher the better as far as I'm concerned. And this lovely pearl necklace that brings it all together there at £10 from Dorothy Perkins.
Lovely.
So that's my little take on the heritage trend.
I want to go shopping. We have to go shopping together.
No problem, we'll sort it out.
You need to style the presenter here.
Don't worry, we can make that a show.
All right, thank you very, very much. So you'll be back again next week after, right?
Yes.
Because we're going to do some on-location filming,
We
right?
are.
Okay, because someone got a makeover, didn't they?
They did, so it'd be great to see the results on screen.
Okay, that'll be next week. So thank you very much. And Monday's show will focus on the subject of media and advertising. Just how much of what you see in the media do you believe, and are you sucked in to actually go and buy everything that you see? So we're going to be talking, that's going to be very interesting. And of course, we do have our YouTube funny video. Now, this was actually some outtakes of Dolphin House. Our lovely lady that we interviewed there couldn't quite get the website right. But for now, take a look at this, and we'll be back again on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye-bye for now.
It's www.info.dolphinhouse.co. No, I've completely got that wrong.
So Rosie, what's the website if people want more information?
It's www.dolphin.org. No. Dolphin dash house. Check.
Yeah. So Rosie. So what's the website, Rosie?
It's dolphin-house.co.uk.
So Rosie, if people want more information, dolphin-house.org.uk, okay? That's the one. So Rosie, what's the website address?
It's dolphin-house.org.uk. If anybody... Yay!